Most people don't want you. They want your attention, your time, your replies, your validation. They want to feel chosen without ever choosing you back. And at first, it feels like connection, messages that never stop, conversations that feel alive, moments that seem meaningful. But slowly, you begin to notice something. It's not you they're attached to. It's the way you make them feel. Because attention is easy, attention is temporary. Attention can be given and taken away without depth. It's a surface-level exchange, a constant loop of giving and receiving energy, without ever truly seeing each other. And this is where most connections live, on the surface, in convenience, in moments that feel real but don't last. But then, sometimes, rarely, someone comes into your life and everything feels different, not louder, not more intense, but deeper. They don't chase your attention. They don't need constant validation. They don't flood your world with noise. Instead, they notice the way you speak when you're tired, the way your energy shifts when something is wrong, the silence behind your words. They don't just hear you, they understand you. And that kind of understanding, it feels unfamiliar at first because you're used to being liked, not truly seen. You're used to people enjoying your presence, but not recognizing your depth. So when someone finally does, it feels almost unreal, like they are reading something you never said out loud, like they are connected to something beyond what is visible, because they are not attached to your attention. They are connected to your essence, and there is a difference. Attention says, talk to me, entertain me, make me feel something. But soul connection says, I feel you, even in silence. Most people seek stimulation. They want excitement, distraction, constant movement. But someone who connects to your soul, they are comfortable with stillness. They don't need you to prove yourself. They don't need constant reassurance. They don't need noise to feel something real, because what they feel is not dependent on how often you speak. It exists beneath all of that. And this is where things begin to shift inside you, because for the first time, you are not performing, you are not trying to impress, you are not trying to hold someone's attention, you are simply being, and they stay. Not because you are entertaining, but because you are real, and real is rare. In a world where most connections are built on convenience, depth feels almost foreign, because depth requires vulnerability. It requires presence. It requires the courage to see someone fully. And most people avoid that. They stay at the surface, because the surface is safe, predictable, controlled. But depth changes you. It exposes things. It reveals truth. It removes illusion. And not everyone is ready for that. That's why most people only seek attention. Because attention does not demand growth. It allows you to stay the same, to feel wanted without being known. But someone who loves your soul, they don't allow you to stay hidden, not forcefully, not aggressively, but naturally. Their presence invites you to open, to feel, to be honest. And that honesty, it can be overwhelming, because being seen deeply means being exposed. Your fears, your insecurities, your past, everything you tried to keep guarded, feels visible. And that can be terrifying, because now you are no longer in control of how you are perceived. They see beyond your mask, and yet they don't leave. And that is what makes it different. Because most people leave when things get real, when things get complicated, when things require effort beyond attention. But someone who connects with your soul, they stay. not out of obligation, but out of understanding. They don't just like you, they feel you. And feeling someone is far more powerful than liking them. Because liking can change, it can fade, it can be replaced. But feeling leaves a mark. It stays, even in silence, even in distance, even when everything else changes. And that is why this kind of connection is rare, because it requires two people who are willing to go beyond the surface, who are willing to be real, without hiding, without performing, without pretending. And that kind of honesty, it is not easy. It requires strength, not the kind of strength that hides emotion, but the kind that allows it. And when you experience this, everything else starts to feel different. Conversations that once felt exciting now feel empty. Connections that once seemed meaningful now feel shallow. Because once you've felt depth, you cannot go back to the surface. And this is where the tension begins. Because deep connections are not always simple. They challenge you, they push you, they make you confront parts of yourself you've ignored. And sometimes that becomes overwhelming. Not because the connection is wrong, but because it is too real. And reality is something many people struggle to face. So even when the connection exists, even when the feeling is mutual, there can still be distance. Because one person may be ready, and the other is still learning how to face themselves. And that creates confusion, moments of closeness, followed by moments of silence, a sense of understanding, mixed with uncertainty. And in that space, you begin to question things. Is this real? Is it one-sided? Am I feeling something that isn't fully there? But deep down, because this kind of connection, it doesn't feel like guessing. It feels like recognition, like something familiar, even if you've never experienced it before. And that familiarity, it is not accidental, it is rare. And that rarity is what makes it powerful. Because in a world full of attention, someone who sees your soul is not common. And that realization, it changes how you view everything. You stop settling for surface-level interactions. You stop chasing validation. You stop confusing attention with love. Because now, you understand the difference. You understand that real connection does not need to be loud. It does not need constant communication. It does not need performance. It simply exists, steady, deep, unspoken. And that kind of connection, it cannot be forced. It either is or it isn't. And when it is, you feel it in the silence, in the presence, in the way someone understands you without explanation. And that is something attention can never replace, because attention fades, but connection remains. So now I want to ask you something. Have you ever met someone who didn't just want your attention, but truly understood your soul? Or are you still surrounded by people who only notice you, but never really see you? Comment below. I want to hear your experience. And if this resonated with you on a deeper level, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.